Let's talk about what over 6,000 conversations about money taught me, because for some crazy reason, no one talks about this. What if I told you the most powerful financial education I ever received didn't come from a textbook, a certification, or a course? It came from sitting across from real people, thousands of them, listening as they shared the most private, vulnerable, and often painful parts of their financial lives. Because there's a difference, a real difference, between what you learn in theory from books or in a classroom and what you learn from real people facing real financial challenges. Hi, I'm Tammy, certified financial planner and founder of Finlightenment Financial Learning Group. And today, I want to share something that I don't talk about enough. The experiences that changed everything for me and ultimately led me to walk away from a successful career in financial consulting to build something entirely new. Because what I witnessed in those conversations, it didn't just open my eyes, it broke my heart. And it lit a fire in me that never went out. For over 15 years, I had a role unlike most in financial services. I sat down one-on-one with more than 400 people every single year. Each person got 1 hour, just one. And in many cases, I wouldn't see them again for another year, if at all. You might think, well, what can you really accomplish in 1 hour with someone that you've just met? And the answer, a lot, but also not enough. Because in those 60 minutes, I saw things that no spreadsheet could ever capture. I saw fear, shame, confusion. I saw a woman in her 50s break down because she didn't know where her money had gone over the last 30 years, and she was terrified that it was too late for her. I saw couples who had never had an honest conversation about money, and how that silence had slowly turned into distance between them. I saw high earners with beautiful homes carrying crushing debt. They were one emergency away from a real crisis. And I saw people with modest incomes quietly build incredible financial lives, not because they made more, but because they understood things that most people don't. And I'll be honest, I came into this work with an assumption that now almost feels naive. I believed financial success was just about the numbers. Earn money, budget it, save it, invest it. Boom. Simple, logical, obvious. But then the reality hit. Because if it were really that simple to just show people what to do and then they go off and do it, everybody would be financially successful. But they aren't. I was sitting across from brilliant, capable, hardworking people, doctors, lawyers, professors, who were thriving in their careers, but still struggling with their money. And that's when everything shifted. The problem isn't just a lack of financial knowledge. It's deeper than that. These weren't people who didn't care. They weren't irresponsible. They were never taught. Not just the mechanics like budgeting and investing, but the internal side, how their brain works, how their beliefs shape their behavior, how the subconscious patterns quietly drive their financial decisions. Think about it. We spend over a decade in school learning algebra, science, grammar, but almost no one teaches us how to manage our money, how to understand our own spending habits, how to build a system that actually works with our brain instead of against it. These people weren't failing. They were never given the right information and the right tools to succeed. And once I saw that clearly, everything changed for me. Because here's what I noticed. When I gave people financial advice, the numbers, the targets, the plans, they would nod, they'd agree, they'd take notes, and they'd leave. And a year later, they'd come back, nothing had changed. But when we uncovered something deeper, when they understood why they were making the choices they were making, that's when everything changed. Because a budget doesn't fix a belief, but when you change the belief, the behavior finally follows. And that realization, that's why Finlightenment Financial Learning Group exists. I remember one woman who was on the verge of bankruptcy. On paper, it seemed like pure math. Too much debt, not enough income. But when we started talking, she mentioned almost offhand that growing up, spending money was the only time her home life with her family felt happy. They would dine out together, vacation, host parties. That spending was love. That was their celebration. That saving rather than spending meant less joy and love in her family life. In fact, she only truly felt family happiness when they were spending on these events, never on the average day-to-day. Now, as an adult with her own family, she was recreating that same life. When she could see that pattern, when she understood why her brain was wired the way it was, she didn't just get a budget, she got a breakthrough. I remember a man successful with millions saved who couldn't bring himself to spend any of it. Vacations, gifts, experiences, none of it. He was terrified. He was convinced that spending money meant he was going to run out, that financial security was just a temporary trick before everything fell apart. His wife brought him in to see me repeatedly to go over the numbers, which were great, even in the most conservative modeling, just to reassure him that they were doing okay. But it never worked. He wouldn't even go out to lunch, and his relationship with his wife was suffering because of it. Two very different financial situations, same root. A deeply ingrained belief about money that no spreadsheet could ever fix. And here's where my heart broke, and I mean that genuinely. At the end of these sessions, people would say to me, "Can I come back? Can I see you more often? Where can I go to keep learning this stuff? Is there somewhere I can get real financial education? Not a sales pitch for insurance or an investment product, not someone trying to scare me into paying them to manage my money, but actual financial education designed for me." And I had no answer. There was nowhere to send them. The financial services industry, for all its sophistication, had built almost nothing for the person who simply needed to understand their money, who needed to be taught from the beginning in a way that was honest, clear, and truly designed to help them. That gap, that absence of a place to get expert, unbiased, comprehensive financial education, is why Finlightenment exists. I'm building it because I couldn't keep having those conversations and have nowhere to send people who genuinely wanted to learn. At its core, Finlightenment Financial Learning Group is built on one belief. When you combine a strong money mindset with real practical financial skills, financial success doesn't just become possible, it becomes inevitable. Because now you're not just working with numbers, you're working with your brain, your habits, your patterns. You're addressing both the internal and the external at the same time. The program I'm going to tell you more about in this series, the Financial Foundation Reset, is the most complete, most compassionate, most results-producing thing that I know how to build. It's 21 days, and it combines science-backed mindset work with a genuinely comprehensive budgeting system. And it includes live support from me, because I know from 15 years of experience that this work is not done best alone. In the next video, I'm going to get into something really practical that I know a lot of you are curious about. Why does budgeting fail for so many people, even people who genuinely try? I'm going to walk you through the number one mistake that people make when they try to budget, why it's not your fault, and what needs to be different for it to actually work this time. If you've ever started a budget and had it fall apart within a few weeks, that video is going to feel like a light bulb going off. So if you're ready to start transforming your financial life, to learn how to manage your mind and your money together so you can live your best life today and in the future, join me. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.